If it is Monday night, it is the Wrestling Forum. Hello, friends. It is Ridiculously Over. Anthony Florio sitting in tonight for the Hardcore Python, Derek Ferreira. He has a doctor's appointment early tomorrow morning, so thus he will not be joining us. He will, however, have his review of Monday Night Raw sometime tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. So with that said, I am joined by my esteemed colleagues, as always, the Cerebral Viper, Michael Fletcher, my partner in crime in the Yes Movement, and our resident phenom, Michael Bullock, and our special guest, as always, the always delightful Dee Woodson. Great to have you as always, Dee. So here we go. Monday Night Raw was live tonight from the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado. Of course, the hype for Fastlane continues. So that said, let's get right into it. We started off, well, as is customary with a Monday Night Raw nowadays, with the Authority. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, whatever. But no, this was actually necessary and acceptable because they had, Triple H last Thursday night on SmackDown teased a major announcement that was going to, quote, shake the core of the WWE Universe. And that's exactly what we had here in this case. Bring out Roman Reigns. Then you bring out Daniel Bryan. And then you bring out Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. Daniel Bryan comes out, of course, says that he never lost the title, which he never did. He had to be stripped of the title because of the infamous injury, the near career-ending injury that he suffered, last spring. That forced him to surrender the titles. And then from there, Roman Reigns, of course, saying, I won the Royal Rumble fair and square. I don't know why I got to go through this. And then Seth Rollins, of course, doing his usual "I'm the future" shtick, and I stole the show at the Royal Rumble, which I will admit he certainly did, along with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Match of the year for 2015 as of right now. So we'll see what happens. So thoughts on this? I mean, but before I get into that, I just remembered Triple H and Steph make their announcement that in the main event, Daniel Bryan would go one-on-one with Seth Rollins. And then after that, the winner of that match will then advance to Fastlane at the FedEx Forum in Memphis on February 22nd to face Roman Reigns. And the winner of that match at Fastlane will go on to challenge the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 31. So, now thoughts on this? Well, as is customary, I will lead off on this, as is customary if Derek were here. So, I thought this was a well-done segment. I thought this was, when it comes to the in-ring segments, far and away, this was the segment of the night for me. I mean, this was really well done. I mean, say what you want about the Authority. A lot of us are anti-Authority, none more so than myself, Michael Bullock, and Dee Woodson. Of course, we all know Derek is a closet Authority fan, him and his Plan B motif. And Mikey's a little bit of a tweener. He's half Yes Movement, half Authority, so we all know that. So he's on the tweener side of things. But I actually thought this was a good use here. I mean, the announcement may not have shaken the core of the WWE Universe like they had said, but it got the Yes Movement. It gave the Yes Movement some hope. I mean, where have we seen this before? Oh yeah, a year ago. We all remember what happened. Batista wins the Royal Rumble. The night after, Daniel Bryan comes out and he vented out his frustrations to the Authority, and then the Authority, of course, made his life miserable. We all remember that. And then somehow, some way, it finally led to a match with Daniel Bryan against Triple H, and then the rest is history. Miracle on Bourbon Street. So now, what happens now? I mean, great. I mean, the announcement was, not what I was expecting. To be honest, when they were talking about the Royal Rumble match and all the controversy, blah blah blah, I had a weird feeling going through me. You're all hearing this for the first time. Flex, I didn't even tell you this when we talked on the phone earlier. I didn't even say this to you because I wanted to save it for now. I had a bold thought in my mind. I was like, are they crazy? Are they going to be crazy enough? Are they actually going to pull out another Rumble match, an abbreviated Rumble match? Like they did on that SmackDown years ago. They had that big SmackDown Royal Rumble match, which Eddie Guerrero won, and then Eddie Guerrero went on to defeat Brock Lesnar for the title at No Way Out 2004 in San Francisco. No, that did not happen. That's what I was thinking at first. And then we all thought maybe a triple threat match with Bryan, Reigns, and Rollins, with the winner to face Lesnar at WrestleMania as the main event of Raw tonight. I was not expecting this. I kind of want to say mini tournament or somewhat of an ode, like if you will, to the college football playoffs, if you will. It's kind of like that almost. I mean, with Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, you can say that's like the Oregon Florida State game, and then the winner faces Alabama in the form of Roman Reigns, and then those two winners, and then of course the winner, of course, would face Brock Lesnar. But then again, Brock Lesnar's might be Alabama. Let's be realistic. But a well done segment here. Everybody came off great. I mean, Daniel Bryan, what else is there to say? He's got the crowd eating out of his hands. Seth Rollins, smarky heel, well done. And then, of course, Roman Reigns. I know a lot of people haven't liked his mic work. I've been a very vocal critic. We've all been. But I kind of thought he did good on this one. And I know Michael Fletcher, who's been a big Reigns supporter for a while now, and he's definitely taken a liking to him. And I know Fletch was definitely impressed. And this is one of those rare times there was a commercial break during this. But all in all, I thought this was a well done segment. This was far and away the segment of the night because there really weren't that many in-ring segments because we had a lot of matches on this show tonight, which is very refreshing to say the very least. So very good segment that set the tone for what it ended up being. Another very solid edition of Monday Night Raw, if I'm being quite honest with you, because I really don't have much to complain about tonight, if I'm being quite honest with you. So, yeah, very good segment. Well done by all. Um, and like I said, say what you want about the Authority, but tonight, what they were doing here, one of those rare times that I'm going to consider it necessary and acceptable because, major implications. Because, WrestleMania, we're vastly approaching it. We're less than 8 weeks away now from Levi's Stadium in San Francisco, between 75,000. You're looking at it. Of course, next year it's going to be an even bigger record. Well, it's going to break the record. Let's not kid ourselves. But we'll get into that a year from now. But for right now, segment of the night, no question about it, far and away. So I don't know what else there is to say except I'm going to throw it up now to my partner in crime in the Yes Movement and our resident phenom, the one and only Michael Bullock. Mr. Bullock, before we get to you, I just have one question from you. Have you recovered from all that celebrating you did last night, Mr. Patriot?
Well, all I can say is, I mean, I still got that little excitement in me from last night, of course, with the Patriots, of course, winning their 4th Super Bowl title in 14 years and beating a good Seattle Seahawks team. So I still got that excitement, but I will say this tomorrow, I'm finally going to get out there and I'm going to get my Super Bowl championship gear. Of course, I couldn't get it today because of the storm that we got, but nevertheless, hello friends, this is the Phenom and the Vice President of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement and an excited Patriots fan, Michael Bullock here for another edition of the Wrestling Forum. Delighted to be here as always. Yeah, I thought this was a good opening segment here. Normally, when it comes to the Authority, we say we usually don't like it when they open it up, but because of the whole announcement that this was necessary. But yeah, but there was a little thing that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon did before they made the announcement. Well, Raw was in Denver, and of course. They said, "Oh, what about that game last night with the Super Bowl, with the New England Patriots, our team winning it all?" And saying they won, but not without controversy. And at the end of the day, the Patriots are the Super Bowl champs because it's what's best for business. And of course, I don't know if you guys followed it, but on both of their Twitter pages. Triple H and Stephanie did attend the Super Bowl last night. So, yeah, so they were there, and of course you saw Stephanie McMahon donning the New England Patriots hat, and I don't know if you noticed there was another one, but I think it was like a picture of Tom Brady with a handoff, and Stephanie McMahon was like right next to it. So. And, of course, obviously it was in Denver, so basically it's like them poking at the Denver Broncos to say, hey, our New England Patriots did what your Denver Broncos couldn't do last year in the Super Bowl, and that was beat the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, so enough on that. But, yeah, everybody was wondering what the announcement was going to be, and, yeah, then of course, they bring out Roman Reigns, and 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 Roman Reigns. Well, Stephanie McMahon said Roman Reigns will go down as the winner of the Royal Rumble, but should he face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? And and Roman Reigns, let's just say he was not too happy about it. And then of course we get Daniel Bryan coming out, and Daniel Bryan basically says he never got a rematch. Well, basically because he never lost the title, he was stripped of it. And then of course we get Seth Rollins. Well, basically they went to commercial first because, well, in the beginning his mic wasn't working, and then he says a a, a Daniel Bryan Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania is ridiculous. He says that, well, Daniel Bryan would get eaten alive by Lesnar. So then, if there's any man that should face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, is Seth Rollins himself. So there's a solution. Tonight it would be Daniel Bryan going up against Seth Rollins, and the winner of that match would go on to face Roman Reigns at the new Fastlane pay-per-view, and then the winner of that match would go on to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So there is some hope for the Yes Movement, but did he take that step into getting that one step closer to getting back to the main event picture at WrestleMania? We're just gonna have to wait and find out. So I thought it was a good segment here. So with that being said, I'm just gonna toss it up to Michael Fletcher for his thoughts on the segment. I think I don't know if we lost Fletcher or something here. So I
Yeah,
think
I think we may have lost out on Fletcher there. Oh no, Fletcher there?
oh, Fletcher, you there, man? Yeah, it's on you now, man.
Yeah, I see the screen is still frozen there. So you know, I don't know if Didi Whitson wants to share her thoughts on this segment, or if she just wants to lay low like she usually does, which is fine too. But or if you want, we could just. But before I do that, now that I think about this, our friend and super fan um, Matt Ward went on the Facebook earlier, and I noticed he vented quite a little bit, vented some frustration over the events of tonight. Let me see if I can get it up there real quick, because he does make he has a valid point, and I'm gonna see if I can find this here. Okay, it says that's BS. I hate how the IWC just screwed over a wrestler because it's not the one they want. Reigns won the Rumble. He deserves to main event against Brock Lesnar. Hashtag Raw. And that is exactly what it kind of feels like that. I mean, you remember last year. I mean,
Yeah, with Batista.
yes, or as the fans called him, Bootista. We all remember that. Dave Batista won the Royal Rumble match. Daniel Bryan wasn't even in the Royal Rumble match. That's why the fans were, living in Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
and there's another point I want to make. I mean, many people wanted Roman Reigns to win last year, and he ended up losing. And then Roman Reigns wins this year, and he's getting booed for it. I just don't get it.
Well, if Daniel Bryan didn't come back, if Daniel Bryan was still out with the injury, I think then and only then they would have been more receptive to Roman Reigns. That's the only thing I can think of. The only people.
And the other thing is, I mean, I like a fresh look to the main event for WrestleMania. I mean, I'm willing to give this match a chance. I don't know why people are crapping on this.
Yeah, it's basically because Daniel Bryan never lost the title to begin with, and Daniel Bryan himself last summer he said in an interview that he wanted to fight Brock Lesnar. I mean, originally that was in the plans for SummerSlam last year. I mean, if Daniel Bryan didn't get hurt, what Brock Lesnar did to John Cena, Brock Lesnar would have done to Daniel Bryan. It would have been Daniel Bryan getting all those German suplexes. It would have been Daniel Bryan who would have gotten F5, and it would have been Daniel Bryan who would have coughed up the title to Lesnar at SummerSlam instead of John Cena. I mean, that's why they put the belt on Cena because and they also wanted to have Lesnar avenge the loss from Extreme Rules 2012, which many called a humongous mistake on the part of the WWE writers. That they felt that Lesnar should have gone over there, and in a way, I kind of agree with that. But no, it's because that's just how powerful Daniel Bryan is. I mean, the fans love this guy. They eat out of his hands. I mean, it's just simple as that. And I mean, Matt Ward does make a valid point, but I also read an article on one of my wrestling news sites that I'm a very big follower of, and the editor of that website said that he wanted to see Daniel Bryan going up against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. A classic David versus Goliath matchup. I mean, oh boy, but we got a lot of time to figure this one out. But all I know is it's going to be all right. Michael Fletcher, are you in now? Are you all set?
Yeah, you ready, Fletch?
Are you situated?
I'm kind of in and out right now. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I think he's still. I think he's coming from Fritz. Which is which is the norm here on the show. But then again, we've all been there. Some time ago, I was there, unfortunately. Michael Bullock, even you got bitten by that, and of course, our own Derek Ferrera's even gotten bitten by this. But nobody has had worse luck than Michael Fletcher has. Let's not kid ourselves. But hopefully,
well, now that I'm on this iPad, I'm hoping that I won't get that same result.
and it's worked out so far, and it's worked out pretty good for you so far, Bullock. If I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
It's actually been working out. It's been working out a lot better. Than when you had your usual connectors before, but nonetheless,
and of course, I got to be careful with what I say, or as the old saying goes, knock on wood.
Right, exactly. So there you go. So with that said, we're just gonna move on.
Yeah,
let's trying again.
Let's try again.
Try it one more time.
Are you there,
Mikey? What?
Yeah, can you guys hear me this time?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the opening segment?
Oh.
Ooh, I think we
lost him.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we should just move on.
No, I thought something might happen there, but
Yeah, I think we should just move on.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless Dee Dee Whitton wants to share her thoughts on the opening segment, Dee Dee, or do you want us to just move on?
I thought it was a good segment.
Okay. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yes. All right. So with that said, if Fletch comes in, we'll definitely get to him. But for right now, let's just move on. Great segment indeed. So with that said, let's just move on. We're going to move on to our first match of the night. It was, for the 11 billionth time in a lifetime, Roman Reigns one-on-one with The Big Show. Yeah, okay. Winner of the match is all on that. So that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Roman Reigns against The Big Show? We got.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see if Fletch is in this time.
Fletch, can you hear me? I think we just lost him again. So.
Yeah, Bullock, your thoughts on Roman Reigns against The Big Show?
All right. Well, what did you say the time? the time of the match was? I couldn't quite
Yeah,
hear
there
you.
was no time. There was no time. Fletcher, you in now?
Yeah, man, guys, I really need to apologize to you guys because
No problem.
holy heck, my Cox communication setup is stinking tonight. My house has been going on the fritz. I mean, literally, actually, I had to pull out
Uh-oh.
of the fact that apparently some knucklehead needed to basically my fire alarm had to go off for friggin'
Oh
hell.
Oh,
shoot!
no.
No, 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 no.
So
But
no,
if you're in
so
now, Fletcher, you can talk on the opening segment when you get a moment.
well, you know what? I'm just gonna save you guys the bore and the breath here. Look, here it is. The Authority try to screw Roman Reigns up the you know what. They try to force him to screw the freaking pooch here tonight. On top of that, then you had basically Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins basically get into a situation where they feel like they should be the number one contender. So what does the Authority do? For the best for business card they pull is Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins. Winners fight Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Winner of that fight goes and now becomes in the main event of WrestleMania. So, and me and Anthony Floyo kind of briefly chatted about this. I think this is WWE's way of patting the IWC on the back and saying, okay, guys, we understand. We know we made a little boo boo here. Let's try to even this out and let's try to play nice. We'll throw you a bone here. Let your little hero Daniel Bryan get another shot at the belt, and if he goes, then we'll see what happens. But I gotta say that even though I think WWE kind of took a major risk here, I don't know if it's gonna work or not. Of course, now that Daniel Bryan is getting another shot at the gold, I mean, it's definitely I definitely agree. It's yes, 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 yes tonight for the yes movement. I mean, old Stewie from Family Guy would say, "Victory is mine." But anyway, it was definitely it was a solid segment. I loved it. There's nothing else to say. So, Florio, now you can move on. If you guys heard all that, then we're good to go for the rest of the night.
We heard you. We heard you loud and clear, Mikey. We heard you loud and clear. So, all right. So with that said, we're going to go back to Michael Bullock now to share his thoughts on the opening contest, which was Roman Reigns against The Big Show for the 11 billionth time in a lifetime. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on that?
All right. Well, what I was asking you before, Floria, was what did you get for the time?
There was no time limit. I didn't see a time listed on my notes here.
All right. Well, all right. So I'll try my best. Yeah, this was the 11 billionth meeting between these two. Yeah, I'm starting to get sick of it. So I'm gonna just give it 1 star for the effort. I mean, I really could care I really give two craps about this fight. So you know what? I'm not gonna get into any further details with this nonsense. So 1 star for me. I'm done with this. Fletcher, it's yours.
I think the real nonsense is that they think that the Big Show is actually a legitimate competition for Roman Reigns. I mean, damn it to hell, man. That's my takeaway from it. I'm a little spit mad right now, so I think the Cerebral Viper might be coming out. Roman Reigns
Okay.
clearly won the Royal Rumble.
Yes, Roman Reigns did indeed win the Royal
Okay.
Rumble. That is clear.
We lost him.
Yep. Yeah, so Fletch was obviously saying that Roman Reigns, of course, won the Royal Rumble match. Indeed, he did. So, yeah, a little questionable, but still, I mean, he still won the Rumble match. I mean, we didn't see Rusev at first, but then I just remembered it. It took me a moment, but still, as far as this match is concerned, Michael Bullock's right. I'm gonna give it 1 star for the effort. It wasn't all that bad because there was some okay action. There was a couple of good near falls in that one. So you know it's definitely a 1 star for the effort. I mean, their matches have pretty much all of their matches have been dull as dirt. But there was that one match on that SmackDown. I think it was on that first Thursday SmackDown that I thought was pretty good. But other than that, all their other matches have been rather meh and whatnot. So it's going to be a 1 star for the effort. There's no question about it. So with that said, we're just going to move on to this interesting segment here. Out comes Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel, came out, cut a little promo saying that, I was never eliminated from the Royal Rumble match, which is true because, he got taken out by Eric Rowan, which led to that little Wyatt family moment at the Royal Rumble match. And then all of a sudden, out comes Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose gets in his face. He throws Axel out. He says, "Now you're eliminated." And then Ambrose cuts a good promo here, and he basically called out the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Bad News Barrett. An Ambrose and Barrett feud for the IC belt? I can get with that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a fresh matchup. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen Dean Ambrose go up against Bad News Barrett before. But an Intercontinental Heavyweight title feud between these two, that could be a solid matchup there. I mean, because both of these guys can go. I mean, their bodies of work are both very good. So I see this happening at Fastlane. I really do. I think we're going to get this at Fastlane. There's no question about it. And if that's the case, we could be looking at a solid 3.5 stars easy, based on the body of work of these two. So I think we can get a solid Intercontinental Heavyweight title matchup. Although there could be some, chicanery, there could be some, there could be a cop-out finish in this one. And if that's the case, we could end up seeing these two go at it again at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, I fully expect Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Prince, to win the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. I think he's going to be the one who takes the title off of Barrett. I mean, because, he had that great run with the United States Heavyweight Championship. He held that for almost a year, from Extreme Rules 2013 to the night after Extreme Rules 2014. So with that said, not the best segment, but, I'll give it a solid segment there. I mean, Curtis Axel, I mean, still not really relevant to me. Needs some work. Dean Ambrose, of course, he's definitely another one of the IWC favorites. So I definitely, I'm going to give this a 50-50, I'm going to say it was, Axel was rather, yeah, okay. But Dean Ambrose, though, I thought Dean Ambrose came off very good. And, calling out Bad News Barrett, sending up an Ambrose versus Barrett IC title feud down the road, which I still think is going to go down in Fastlane. So good, but not overly great segment, if I'm being quite honest. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I think this was, I'm going to say this was 50-50 for me. I mean, Curtis Axel was like, well, to me was like, yeah. But I thought Dean Ambrose was better, and I like when Dean basically grabs Curtis Axel and says, "All right, now you're eliminated." So, yeah, and basically said that, saying, "I'm in line for a title match, and he wants Bad News Barrett, and he wants the Intercontinental title," and he says, "I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you, Bad News Barrett. I'm coming for your IC title." So, yeah, I'm down with this. With the match between these two. I mean, that could be a fresh new match between. I mean, because we've never seen these two go at it. So, yeah, and I think this could definitely go down at the Fastlane pay-per-view. So, yeah, and it could definitely go down as a solid match. So, yeah, 50-50 for this segment. So, with that being said, I think we're just gonna move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on indeed. Okay, there you go, Michael Bullock. Yeah, let's move on here. Yeah, hopefully it'll breathe some life into the Intercontinental Championship. But we'll see what happens. So with that said, let's move on. Of course, next up, unfortunately, this is where we're gonna have to get into one of the few low points of this show tonight. Tag team action. Victor and Connor, aka the Ascension, going up against the Dust Brothers. Winners of the match in 1 minute and 50 seconds. Wow, talk about Shakespearean drama. The Ascension. Ascension wins that match. Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. Not. So with that said, Michael Bullock, I hate to do it to you, but the luck of the draw has bitten you. So we're going to have to go with you because we lost Fletcher.
Yeah, the only Shakespearean drama was, of course, from last night's Super Bowl. That's the only Shakespearean drama. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this a dud. I mean, this was not a good match at all, and yeah, yeah, Dee Dee, you basically said it right there, the double face palm there. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, what was the point of this match? I mean, I understand you're trying to still make the Ascension look good, but after the match, I mean, you wonder if there's a little dissension going on with the Dust Brothers. So something very, and then in that backstage, Goldust didn't call him Stardust. He basically called him Cody. So there could be some dissension. So yeah, but anyways, the match was a dud. Definitely one of the worst fights of the night. So yeah, I really got nothing else to say except let's move on to Florio.
Yeah, the photo that Dee Dee Woodson just posted definitely says it all. Absolute dud. Michael Bullock says it's one of the worst fights of the night. No, I'm sorry, Michael Bullock. I got to disagree. I got to say it was the worst fight of the night. I mean, this was an absolute dud. This was a squash from start to finish. For the Ascension, I know you're asking what the point is. I think there actually was a point. You know, for the longest time, for about 4 or 5 years now, we here in the IWC have been clamoring for a matchup, a WrestleMania matchup between Cody Rhodes and Goldust. I think you heard it here first. I think we're going to finally get it this year. I really do. I know they were, hesitant, and they were very clear that they were never going to do a brother-brother matchup with these two. Well, I think this is the year it's finally going to happen. I think it's going to be Goldust versus Stardust at WrestleMania. You heard that here first. And that's for the Ascension. Well, it's clear as day. They're still going to WWE is definitely pushing them or grooming them, if you will. To be the team that eventually takes the WWE Tag Team Championships off of the current title holders, the Usos. And you heard it here first. I think that's going to happen at WrestleMania. I really do. So I expect the Dust Brothers implosion for WrestleMania, and I also expect the Ascension to become the new tag champs come WrestleMania 31. So there was a point to this, Michael Bullock. It's to tease the tension with the Dust Brothers and also continue to push the Ascension as this unstoppable, Goliath tag team, if you will. And like I said, at WrestleMania, that they're going to win the tag belts from the Usos. That's just how I feel. So.
Well, I'll give WWE one prop. At least it wasn't a known tag team that they were facing this time.
Very true, Dee Dee Woodson. Very true. Good observation there. Absolutely. They were squashing what we like to call ham and egg tag teams for the first couple of weeks, and then at the Royal Rumble, they went over the one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, in the New Age Outlaws, beat them in 5 minutes, and then they've gotten some victories over the Dust Brothers over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, very very good point there, Dee Dee Woodson, indeed. So yeah, so absolute dud, worst fight of the night. There's no question about that. So with that said, let's just move on. John Cena. John Cena comes out, and then he cuts a promo, and then he brings back his fellow teammates from Team Cena from Survivor Series, of course, to show off Dolph Ziggler, the big guy Ryback, and Eric Rowan, and then Cena cuts his promo, thanking Sting of course, for not only helping Team Cena win at Survivor Series, but also for helping him beat Seth Rollins a couple weeks ago on the Go Home show for the Rumble. You know, when he got that roll-up victory out of nowhere. And then, of course, that which earned Ryback, Rowan, and Ziggler their jobs back. And then they get interrupted on the Titantron there by the one and only Stephanie McMahon. And Stephanie, you know, books the matches, the 3 matches for Ziggler, Rowan, and Ryback. She would go on to announce that Dolph Ziggler would go one-on-one with Bray Wyatt. And Fletcher and I were on the phone at that point, and, you know, we talked about this. And when she made that matchup, when we heard it was going to be Dolph Ziggler against Bray Wyatt, Michael Fletcher channeled his inner Gorilla Monsoon and said, "Oh, man, what a matchup that's going to be." Yes, indeed. And then Steph would also go on to announce that Eric Rowan would go one-on-one with the United States Heavyweight Champion Rusev. And then Ryback would be getting ready to, you know, to come out next and go one-on-one with the former Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Luke Harper. So that leads into the matchup. Ryback versus Luke Harper. Winner of the match in 5 minutes and 55 seconds, the big guy, Ryback. It was Ryback time. And when it's Ryback time, you know what that means, my friends. Michael Bullock, you know the routine. Say it loud and proud with me, my brother.
Feed me more.
Come on.
Feed me more.
Come on.
Feed me more.
Come on.
Feed me more. Feed me more. Done. Finish it.
And that's exactly what he did. Ryback wins the match in 5 minutes and 55 seconds, almost 6 minutes. Well, I'll be honest. The promo segment, I would say second best segment of the night. When it comes to it, you know, Cena. I love the serious Cena, but then again, who doesn't love the serious Cena? You know, when he's the serious, and not that campy comedy, you know, over the top PG poster boy. You know, he came off very real here. I liked it. Well done. And then Stephanie making those announcements. I mean, to be honest, I had no reservations about Ziggler against Wyatt because I had a good feeling about that fight based on those two guys' bodies of work. The other two, you know, big man matches, you know how big man matches tend to be rather meh, boring for the most part. But I can honestly say, and I know if Fletcher was here, he would agree with me on this because we talked about this. This match was actually a solid match, and we were actually very impressed with this fight, and we were so impressed that we gave this match between 2 and 2.25 stars. That's exactly what it was. 2 to 2.25 stars. That's the rating for this matchup that we agreed on. And he's right. Because, you know, there was actually some good action. There was also quite a few good near falls in this one as well. And then eventually Ryback would win it with the shell shock. So, yeah, some good near falls down the stretch in this one. Solid action. A little slow at first, but it got going. And then once it got going, you know, hey, it actually impressed the hell out of us. So I can honestly say this was the sleeper fight of the night because I didn't think there was going to be anything really good, to be honest. But, you know, like I said, big man matches tend to be rather, you know, meh, boring, snoozer fights. But no, this was not a snoozer at all. So between 2 and 2.25 stars, that's the correct rating for this matchup. Sleeper fight of the night, no question about it. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Ryback against Luke Harper, 5 minutes and 55 seconds worth.
Yeah, I thought it was a 2-star match. I mean, I thought it was fine for what it was, and yeah, normally big man matches usually tend to be boring, but you know what? I was actually fine with this match. I mean, yeah, and yes, of course, Ryback continues to look good here, and of course in the end, he hits the meat hook clothesline and then the shell shock. And nice win for Ryback. So what happens next? We're just going to have to wait and find out. So, yeah, so really got nothing else to say except let's just move on.
All right, move on we will to our next matchup here. Let me get my notes here. Okay, here we go. It was Cesaro, accompanied by Tyson Kidd and Natalia, one-on-one with Jimmy Uso, along with brother Jey Uso and wife Naomi. Winner of the match in 6 minutes and 25 seconds, the king of swing himself, the Swiss Superman, Cesaro. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Cesaro and Jimmy Uso, 6 minutes and 25 seconds worth.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I thought this was another all right match. And during that time, I thought there was some really good action. And with that, I'm actually gonna give it 2 stars. I could say maybe a same thing for Luke Harper and Ryback. It was a good 2 to 2.5 star match, and of course, we all know how impressed we are with Cesaro and this, but in the end, I thought it was a really good match for what it was. So, and who knows? And I'll tell you this right now. I think you're going to see Cesaro and Tyson Kidd going up against the Usos for the tag team titles at the Fastlane pay-per-view. So, yeah, with this win here, I think it may have solidified themselves as #1 contenders for the tag team titles. So, yeah, so match was fine for what it was. Maybe a 2 to 2.5 stars. So with that being said, Florio, I give it to you.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Just had a moment there. I got a little sidetracked, Bullet, though. What did you give the rating for that match? Bullet? Your rating for the fight?
Oh, what did you say?
I didn't hear your rating for the fight. I got a little sidetracked. What happened there?
I said 2 to 2.5 stars.
2 to 2.5. Okay. Yeah, but I just wanted to be sure. Okay. But anyways, I'm actually going to go with the latter on that one, Michael Bullock. This is another match that Michael Fletcher and I got into, and you know what? I told him solid 2.5, and he seemed to agree. So I'm going to give this a solid 2.5 star match, and you know, I could probably consider this the third best fight of the night, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, there was some very good action here. I mean, you know, Cesaro was another one of the favorites of the IWC, of course. I mean, we all remember he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal last year. We thought he was in the midst of an after WrestleMania push, but unfortunately that never happened, never got off the ground, unfortunately. But, you know, it is what it is. But still, I mean, you know, I'm glad to see him getting some wins here. I'm glad him and Kidd are getting over now, which is good because that's a very solid young tag team right there. And I told Michael Fletcher this. Michael Bullock and Edie Woodson, you're hearing this for the first time. But then again, you probably might echo the feeling that I'm about to share here. Fastlane. Expect there to be a tag team title match with the Usos against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, which I think is going to be a solid 3 to 3.5 star match. Easy.
Yeah, and I mentioned that. I just mentioned it as well.
Yeah. Oh yes. And I'm glad you agree. I mean, and if we get this match on the main card of Fastlane, which I think we will, I think we're looking at a sleeper fight of the night easy. We're looking at 3 to 3.5 stars easy because these 4 guys can go. I mean, the Usos, no question about it. Pound for pound, the best tag team in professional wrestling today. Not just the WWE, but in all of professional wrestling, if I'm being quite honest with you. That is until the Ascension gets him at Mania. That's just my thought. And Cesaro and Kidd, I think, are going to be a nice little warm-up for the Usos before, I think, their eventual showdown with the Ascension at WrestleMania. So, like I said, 3 to 3.5 stars easy when it comes to these 4 bodies of work. No doubt about it. I mean, you want to talk about a possible show stealer at Fastlane? This is it right here. I fully expect them to do this fight. So, solid 2.5 stars. Great action all around. Very good near falls. A little bit of some Shakespearean drama in there. A little bit, not a whole lot. So, but yeah, definitely a good matchup. Third best fight of the night on my scorecard. 2.5 stars. Solid match, no doubt about it. So with that said, we're just going to move on to our next moment here. Let's see what we have here. Yes, it is Bray Wyatt, one-on-one with Dolph Ziggler. Winner of the match in 15 minutes and 15 seconds. The Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt, picks up the win in this one. I'm going to lead it off. I thought this was the second best fight of the night. I mean, it's very tough. I mean, it was between this matchup and the Daniel Bryan Seth Rollins match. I mean, both of those matches were incredible. But I thought the latter was better by a smidge, though. This was a very good matchup here. I was not disappointed at all. I mean, I knew this was going to be a good match from start to finish, and that's exactly what we got here. Two great young talents. I'm glad to see Bray Wyatt definitely getting back in the spotlight here. I mean, he lost a little bit of luster towards the end of the year, but he's definitely gotten it back. He went over Dean Ambrose at the TLC in that awesome TLC match. He had a very strong showing in the Royal Rumble match, including eliminating Daniel Bryan. I mean, 6 eliminations, held a longevity record for this year, well over 45 minutes in that Rumble match from the number 5 spot. And then this win tonight against, one of the best in the game today in Dolph Ziggler. I mean, what a fantastic matchup here. If I had to give a rating here, I would have to say that it's between 3.25 to 3.5 stars. This was a very good matchup here between two great talents who I hope to see, get big moments out of them someday. I mean, I still think a year or two down the line, I do expect Bray Wyatt to eventually get a run as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think he would make a fantastic champ. I really do. If you put that thing on him, I think it'll definitely do some wonders. I really do. I'm not sure about Dolph Ziggler. I would love to see him get a run with that thing too. I really do. But I think he's right around the same boat, maybe within a year or two. But I think if you had to ask me who I feel will become WWE World Heavyweight Champion first, I have to go with Bray Wyatt. I really do. But that's for another day in time. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So. But other than that, very good match. I mean, I was hooked from start to finish. Very good, very good. Definitely some great near falls and some very good in-ring action. And if you want quality in-ring action, look no further than these two young studs. No doubt about it. 3.25, 3.5 stars. It's very close, but by a smidge, I have to give this the second best fight of the night. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Dolph Ziggler against Bray Wyatt? 15 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, I'm giving this 3.5 stars as well. This was a very well wrestled match here. Some very, very good quality in-ring action here, and all the near falls were just great. And I mean, these two put on one heck of a match here. So yeah. So Anthony, you pretty much touched on everything. So 3.5 stars for me. So with that being said, let's just move on to let's just move on.
All right, and move on we will to our next moment here, Michael Bullock, which you're going to be leading off on. Let's see. Well, we have ourselves what's a Monday Night Raw without a Divas matchup, and that's exactly what we're going to get here. It was Paige one-on-one with Alicia Fox. Winner of the match in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It was Paige. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this Divas matchup?
Typical ho-hum diva fight. An absolute dud. Really could care less about this match. But then, of course, at the end of the match, the Bellas were basically at ringside doing commentary for the match, and they basically, attack her with, some spray tan, which I don't get. Well, while Alicia Fox basically holds on to her, of course, you already know it's going to be Paige. It's Paige against Nikki Bella for the Divas title at Fastlane. So, and you heard it here first. Nikki Bella is going to retain that title. So, yeah, not really going to get into any further details. So, dud for me. Another typical ho-hum diva fight, but then again, what's WWE without a typical ho-hum diva fight, which I get so excited about? Yeah, right. So, I'm done with this nonsense. Florio, it's yours.
Let me make a quick observation here, Michael Bullock. Well, actually, no. I just want to get my rating over this. I just want to get my rating over this first, and then I'll share my train of thought. Another absolute dud. You're absolutely right, Michael Bullock. Second worst fight of the night, if I'm being honest with you. Typical ho-hum diva fight. Absolutely right. This was nothing but a warm up match for Paige. As you know, Paige is going to be going one on one with Nikki Bella at Fastlane for the Divas Championship, and I do agree with you, Michael Bullock. Nikki Bella is going to go over. There's no question about that. But let me just say it like this: for those of you who are fans of TNA Impact Wrestling, I think you're going to share in my sentiments on this. This past Friday night on Impact Wrestling on Destination America, there was a triple threat match for the TNA Women's Knockout Championship. It was Taryn Terrell. Taryn Terrell, of course, to many WWE fans, best known for being, Tiffany, and they see Didi Woodson sharing her funny photo again with a double face palm there. I wouldn't go that far, Didi. I mean, yes, it was a dud, but I thought it was just a smidge better than the Ascension squash. But nonetheless, getting back to my train of thought, Taryn Terrell, who best known to WWE fans when she was Tiffany, when she was the general manager of ECW, basically Theodore Long's apprentice, if you will. And then, of course, had some solid, some okay matches, but not really anything special. She's the current TNA Women's Knockout Champion over there. She holds their women's title. Taryn Terrell does. She went up against Gail Kim, another former WWE mainstay, and, of course, a diva, a knockout who's never been in the WWE, probably never will, Madison Rayne, who recently signed a long-term deal. This past Friday night, those three had a triple threat match for the women's knockout title. And after watching that match back, take note, WWE Divas, that's how you put on a women's wrestling match. That was one of the best women's wrestling matches I have seen, probably since those two classics from NXT last year. When Natalya and Charlotte and Paige and Emma had those two awesome matches that were far and away the two best women's matches of 2014, hands down. But the best women's match of 2015 so far, not even in the WWE, not even in NXT. It was on Impact Wrestling this past Friday night when those three beauties went at it, and oh boy, did they go at it. That was a solid 3 to 3.5 star match. I'm not kidding you. Go back and look at it. That's how great that match was. Great action from start to finish. Great near falls. Those three beauties put on a show. They damn near stole the show at the Manhattan Center in New York City. So my hat's off to those three. No doubt about that. That was one of the best women's wrestling matches I have seen in such a long time. Probably since those NXT fights. But look it up. It's on the YouTube. Well, it's probably limited. But Taryn Terrell, Gail Kim, Madison Rayne, TNA Women's Knockout Championship, 3-way match. 3 to 3.5 stars. That's how damn good that match was. I'm not kidding you. So take note, WWE Divas. That's how you put on a women's wrestling match. Without question. This one, however, absolute dud. Michael Bullock, you're 100% correct. Typical Ho-Hum Diva fight. Paige is going to lose to Nikki Bella, and then the plans for WrestleMania. Michael Fletcher actually told me this. There's actually there was a little bit of a rumor that we could have almost what we had last year with that Vicky Guerrero Invitational. But I also heard possibly a Diva Battle Royal because they want to get all the divas on the card. They want to make sure they get a payday. So because it's WrestleMania, for God's sakes. So, but we'll see what happens. You never know. Plans could always change. Cards subject to change. So, absolute worst fight. One of the second worst fight of the night. Typical Ho-Hum Diva fight. I'm done. Finished. Let's move on. Let's see what we have here. We had The Miz going one-on-one with Sin Cara. Winner of the match in 5 minutes and 35 seconds. It was Sin Cara. And I'll start it off. I'm actually going to give this a solid 2-star match. I mean, this was, solid match here. I mean, I didn't really have high expectations going into this because, usually I cringe when I see Sin Cara because anytime Sin Cara's in there, I'm like, oh boy, this is trouble. This is going to be a mess. This is going to be a train wreck. It's going to be a cluster, what. But no, this was actually surprisingly good. I mean, he's in there with a proven worker in The Miz, who's another solid worker. I mean, he's not the best, but he's a solid worker. I'll give him credit for that. But Miz actually carried him to a passable match, and that's what I'm going to call this. This was a passable match. Solid 2 stars, and Miz and Mizdow have we have finally seen the implosion of The Miz and Damien Mizdow, and you heard it here first, my friends. We're going to see this at WrestleMania as well. We're going to get the moment here. I expect Mizdow to go over when that happens, and then maybe they can get this guy the push that he deserves because he's a very good talent. I mean, he won the Money in the Bank a couple years ago, pushed John Cena to his limits the night after Hell in a Cell, nearly took the World Heavyweight title from him. I would have marked if he had won the title. That would have been epic. But nonetheless, he still did the job to Cena. But at least Cena made him look good. I'll give him credit for that. But then of course, he did all those ridiculous gimmicks, which annoyed the what out of me. And you don't want to do that because you know how I get when I'm annoyed. So, but no, I mean, solid 2-star matchup. And like I said, finally the seeds have been planted for Miz and Mizdow at WrestleMania 31. And Mizdow will go over. Early projection. Solid 2-star match. I'm actually going to consider this the sleeper fight of the night because I didn't think this thing was going to be anything special. But no, you know what? The hell with it. 2 sleeper fights of the night. I'm going to go co-sleeper fights of the night. This match as well as Ryback and Luke Harper. Simple as that. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Sin Cara and The Miz, 5 minutes and 35 seconds worth.
Yeah, I do agree. I thought this was a 2-star match. I mean, when I first heard of this match, I was thinking, yep, it's gonna be not a good match, but I thought it was fine for what it was. Yeah, I think well, of course, the Miz, firing Damian Mizdow, and of course, he's no longer the stunt double. He's now just the personal assistant. And Mizdow basically cost the Miz the match, and I think we're about to see the breakup of the Miz and Mizdow, and like you said, with these two I think are on the doorstep for a match at WrestleMania. So yeah, good match here for what it was. So 2 stars for me. So with that being said, let's move on, Florio.
All right. Going to move on indeed. Now, normally, I don't usually do this, but shortly after the Miz and Sin Cara match, Bray Wyatt came on the screen, and he said he's been called many names, including the Destroyer, but you may call him Bray. He said he is the new face of fear. The devil is real, man, and he cannot wait to see you again. He said, "I know you're listening. Find me." Who do you think he was talking to? Oh yeah, I think he was talking to The Undertaker. I really do.
Exactly.
And you heard it first, friends. They've been teasing. I've been reading a lot of the dirt sheets, and they've been teasing about a possible match at WrestleMania 31 with Bray Wyatt against The Undertaker, which I know Michael Bullock would be all in on because he would love to see his hero, get revenge for what happened last, to get some payback, if you will, even though Bray Wyatt was not the one who ended the streak. That was Brock Lesnar. But The Undertaker will be ready, to get back on the winning track when it comes to WrestleMania. So I know there's been a lot of people, I know there's been a lot of reports saying that Taker may not be ready, because, he came out of that thing very banged up because Lesnar did a number on him. No joke. But at the end of the day, I think Bray Wyatt started to fired the first shots at Taker. And because of that, I'm going to go on the record right now, my friend. You heard this here first. WrestleMania 31. Bray Wyatt against The Undertaker. I got 2 words for you. Book it. You agree with that, Michael Bullock?
What do you think the answer would be, Florio?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. And I don't know if you realized it, Florio. I think it was on SmackDown on Thursday. I think Bray Wyatt did a little promo, and I think he mentioned something, and which led me to believe I think he's talking about The Undertaker. But now, after what we saw, I think we definitely know he's talking about The Undertaker, and it's definitely leading to a match between those two at WrestleMania if The Undertaker is good and ready to go. So, and I definitely would be down to that with that. And who knows, maybe he could put Bray Wyatt over in a really good match. So we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents on it. So let's just move on, Florio.
Yeah. Wow. Could you imagine Taker doing the job 2 years in a row at WrestleMania? That would be
And
something.
the other thing is, you got two guys who are known for playing mind games. But the only thing is, would the Undertaker be successful in playing mind games with someone like Bray Wyatt?
Very good question. Um, if they do go through with this match, which I think they're going to, think of the TVs. Think of the TVs when we get there. Think of the Raws and the SmackDowns. I mean, can you imagine a promo standoff between those two? Oh, wow! Talk about good stuff. So, just wanted to share some brief thoughts on that. Um, Next up, it was supposed to be a matchup between United States Heavyweight Champion Rusev versus Eric Rowan. Fortunately, the match never really got off the ground because Rusev basically beat the snot out of Eric Rowan. So, in the event of this, what we always do, we got to bring in the infamous NA on this one because this was, more of a beatdown, really. But if you noticed, when Rusev was expecting his little Russian flag to drop down from the rafters, it got caught up there. Could John Cena have been a part of that? Could John Cena have pulled off some, John Cena shenanigans, some offbeat shenanigans like he usually likes to do at times? I think the answer to that is yes, without a doubt. So, to me, it was more of a beatdown. I thought Rusev came off really well here, obviously sending a message to John Cena. And believe it or not, folks, this Rusev-John Cena matchup at Fastlane is actually listed as the United States Heavyweight Championship match. Really? You really think the biggest name in the company, the face of the company, if you will, is John Cena, whose name is always going to be in that world title picture, like it or not? You really think he's willing to take a step down and take the United States Heavyweight Championship off of Rusev? I got news for you. That's
No.
not happening. No way. He's fallen above the United States Heavyweight Championship. He's already held it. He's a multi-time champion, and that was what, a decade ago? Yeah. That leads with this being a title matchup. It leads me to believe one of three things is going to happen. Either Rusev is going to go over cleanly, which I don't see happening. 2, Cena wins by disqualification. Or 3, Cena wins via countout. Basically a cop-out finish, if you will. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think we're going to get a cop-out finish at Fastlane. And it's going to lead to one of two matches. We're either going to get Cena versus Rusev in a rematch, one-on-one, at WrestleMania, which has been rumored for quite some time now. Or I could share this dirt sheet that I found earlier about another possible scenario, which is a rather interesting one, to say the very least. And I was kind of surprised and flabbergasted when I saw this. I'm sure you've heard of this gentleman, the immortal Hulk Hogan. Anyone? Hulk Hogan? We all know who that is. Pretty good. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. Everybody knows who that is. It's interesting to note that Hogan has been pushing for a match. And they obviously teased some tension between Hogan and the Big Show at the Raw Reunion show. There's 2 possible scenarios for Hogan. 1, Hogan goes one-on-one with the Big Show at WrestleMania. Or, one thing they could do, if they wanted to make sure Hogan is not in the ring for too long at WrestleMania, because, he is limited, is to do a tag team matchup with Rusev and the Big Show versus John Cena and Hulk Hogan. Interesting. And if they are doing that match, then it definitely makes more sense now why they would do John Cena versus Rusev for Fastlane. So, yeah, read into that what you will, like I always say here on this show. So, more of a beatdown, really. It was an NA. They obviously wanted to make Rusev very strong going into the big match with John Cena at Fastlane. So, that's really all there is to it. So, with that said, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this, beatdown segment, and your thoughts on that little dirt sheet tidbit I just found.
Yeah, as far as the match, yeah, it's an NA. Like you said, it was more of a beatdown than a match, and basically sending a message to John Cena for their matchup at Fastlane. And when I saw it was for the United States Championship, I was like, really? I mean, you have a guy who's competing for major titles, whether it's like the WWE, back then was the WWE Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, or now the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and you put him in a match for the U.S., you make it for the U.S. title? Yeah, he's better than that, but yeah, you would think Cena would either win by disqualification or maybe a count-out. It's probably gonna, sorry, it's gonna have some kind of a cop-out finish, and it's a very interesting scenario there, Floria, with maybe the Big Show going up against Hulk Hogan, or Hulk Hogan and against John Cena, or that tag team match that you mentioned with Rusev and the Big Show going up against Cena and Hogan. But we'll have to wait and see. Or as Derek Ferrer would always like to say, take it with a grain of salt. So yeah, match was an NA. I mean, it was basically more like a beatdown. So with that being said, let's get on to the main event.
Yes, indeed. It is indeed main event time here on this wrestling forum show tonight. So here you go. Let me just make sure we're in the right spot here. Okay. One-on-one matchup. Ridiculously over Daniel Bryan versus Mr. Money in the Bank Seth Rollins, accompanied, of course, by J&J Security, Joey Mercury, and Jamie Noble. The bad news is I don't have a time limit for this match. But the good news is the winner of the match, and thus going on to face Roman Reigns in the main event at Fastlane for the right to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 31. Say it loud and proud with me, my friends. The Yes Man himself, ridiculously over Daniel Bryan, wins the match. Oh, boy. So, I don't know. Do I lead off on this one, Bullock, or do you lead off? Well, actually, I think you lead off on this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I lead off on it since you led off on the last match.
That is correct. Yeah, I just remembered I led off. So Michael Bullock, luck of the draw actually benefits you this time. So your thoughts on the main event and the outcome? I think I already know where you're going with it, but just put us out of our misery anyway.
This was the fight of the night here for you guys. This was indeed the fight of the night. I'm going to give it 4 stars for the effort here. I mean, this was a well-done match. A lot of Shakespearean drama, a lot of back and forth, but unfortunately, you had some authority shenanigans. I mean, what else is there? Of course, with J&J Security interfering, and of course, the Big Show as well. Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for that, I would have given this maybe 4.25, maybe even 4.5, but some great near falls, some good quality in-ring action by two very good wrestlers in Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, and yeah, and of course Roman Reigns basically he comes out and spears the Big Show, and then of course Reigns hits Joey Mercury with the steel with the spear, I should say, and then basically he hits the Superman punch to Seth Rollins, and Daniel Bryan hits the running knee, 1, 2, 3, and now he is going to be going one-on-one with Roman Reigns for the right to face the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, and all I can say about that is Yes, 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 yes. Daniel Bryan is closer to getting back into the main event of WrestleMania. There's only one person that stands in the way, and that's Roman Reigns. So yeah, so this should make for a very interesting match at the Fastlane pay-per-view. So yeah, so 4 stars for me on the match. I could have given it 4.5 stars, but unfortunately, I have to take some points away because of the Authority shenanigans. What else is there to be said about it? So enough said. Florio, I give it to you.
Yes, indeed, Michael Bullock, you're absolutely spot on with this. Fight of the night, without a doubt. 4 stars, correct rating. I knew this was going to be the fight of the night. The minute the match was announced, I mean, this had fight of the night written all over it. Because these two guys clearly are the best in the business right now. I mean, the bodies of work of these two speak for itself. I mean, start to finish, they just had you hooked. I mean, great wrestling action, great storytelling in this one. Near fall after near fall after near fall. Crowd was into it. I was into it. Michael Bullock was into it. I know Didi Whitson was into it. I mean, boy howdy, what a match it was. I mean, definitely in the running for TV match of the year, no doubt about it when it comes to the TVs. It's nowhere near the 5-star classic that was the triple threat match at the Royal Rumble, no doubt about that. I mean, that's still the match of the year for me, but still, I mean, oh man, a feud with these two down the road would be awesome sauce, to say the very least. I would love to see these two, title or no title. This would be one hell of a feud if they do a Bryan Rollins program, and if you get that, oh boy, you think this match tonight was good. You put these two on pay-per-view, we could be flirting with 5 easy, based on their bodies of work. There's no doubt about it. These are 2 5-star talents, no doubt about it. Daniel Bryan, of course, definitely the number 1 babyface in the WWE right now. Seth Rollins, clearly the number 1 heel. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, the match was epic from start to finish, and 4 stars, fight of the night. Michael Bullock's absolutely correct on that. It would have been higher, but of course, Authority shenanigans. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of those during this match, and we're very hard on that. We don't like Authority shenanigans. We have 0 tolerance for Authority shenanigans. So before I move on, Didi Whitson, you put in our text chat box 4-on-1. You care to elaborate on that?
Well, at one point it was kind of like 4-on-1 until Roman Reigns came down.
Oh, okay. That's what that meant. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you had J&J, you had Seth Rollins, you had J&J Security, you also had the Big Show in there, and then Roman Reigns definitely evened up the sides there and took out Big Show with a spear, and then J&J Security got taken down, and then a Superman punch to Seth Rollins, and then set up Daniel Bryan with the running knee to win the match. And oh man, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at Fastlane, with the winner to face the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 31. I mean, that's a very tough one to call. Thankfully, we have a little bit of some time to figure this one out. We have a few weeks. Of course, Saturday night, February the 21st. That's going to be our big Fastlane preview show. Hopefully, we'll have Derek on for that. But we're hoping for, we're hoping to have Derek on that one, and then, that's going to be a very tough one to call. I can honestly tell you right now, my gut tells me to go with Roman Reigns to win that, because he is the next one. He is the heir apparent right now. But for some odd reason, my heart's telling me to go with Daniel Bryan. So we'll wait and see on that. I mean, if Reigns wins, then obviously, the IWC will feel, okay, now he's earned it. But if Daniel Bryan wins, I mean, I know there's probably going to be some backlash. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I mean, the 3 of us. I mean, of course, the 3 of us. We are the biggest. Yes, we are the biggest. Yes, folks out there. We are the yes. We are the faces of the yes movement. I mean, me as the president of the Rhode Island chapter of the yes movement. Michael Bullock as the vice president of the Rhode Island chapter of the Yes Movement, and of course Dee Dee Woodson representing the Ohio chapter of the Yes Movement, formerly of Oklahoma, but she is definitely the leader of that particular chapter of the Yes Movement. No question about that. So, Yes Movement or Heir Apparent. One thing we do know is this: whoever wins that match at Fastlane is going to beat Brock Lesnar. It doesn't matter. Lesnar's coughing that thing up at WrestleMania. Big question is it going to be the hand-picked heir apparent? Yes, I did say hand-picked because I read a dirt sheet saying that he was hand-picked, Roman Reigns. Or do we get another moment from last, or is it going to be 2014 all over again? And then Daniel Bryan gets his shot, goes back to the main event, and we get that David versus Goliath matchup that my good friend Richard Gray, who is the guy who runs WrestlingNewsWorld.com, fantastic writer to say the very least, that's the match he wants to see. So we'll have to wait and see. But either way, I know a lot of people are saying Reigns versus Lesnar. I don't know, but based on that little moment they had last week during that show from the headquarters, the Blizzard show, as I call it, definitely came off really good, and definitely gave some hope for the match. But if you get Daniel Bryan against Brock Lesnar, wow, that could go down as one of the best main events in the history of WrestleMania. There's no question about it. I don't know if it's going to overtake Stone Cold and The Rock from WrestleMania 17, which is far and away the best WrestleMania main event of all time, 5 stars and beyond, with Shakespearean drama aplenty during that April night in Houston. But as we always like to say here on the show, take it with a grain of salt, read into it what you will. But gut tells me Roman, heart tells me ridiculously over. So thankfully we have a few weeks to figure this out. So all right. So with that said. That's going to put the bow on this. Well, actually, no. We still have to get to our overall review of Monday Night Raw, and I'm going to start it off. So, yes, another very good edition of Monday Night Raw tonight. I mean, very good in-ring action tonight. We only really had 2 dud matches tonight. We had the Diva match, which was a mess as usual with Paige and Alicia Fox, and we also had the Ascension squashing the Dust Brothers. But other than that, I mean, all the other matches were solid to good to great. I mean, Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, to the surprise of no one, had what we call the fight of the night. Solid 4-star match, which would have been higher if not for Authority shenanigans. Second best fight of the night, no question, Dolph Ziggler and Bray Wyatt. 3.25 to 3.5 stars there. And then rounding out the top 3, I would have to say the match between Jimmy Uso and The Miz, which I gave solid 2.5 stars. And then you had not 1 but 2 sleeper fights of the night with Ryback and Luke Harper, and you also had another solid sleeper fight of the night in the form of I'll get back to you on that, but nonetheless, I mean, some great in-ring act. Oh yeah, Sin Cara and The Miz, that was the other one. Sin Cara and The Miz and Ryback and Harper were the 2 sleeper fights of the night. Yes, you had an NA beatdown segment with Rusev beating the snot out of Eric Rowan. And then you also had some good in-ring segments. I mean, that opening segment with the Authority, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, I thought that came up as the segment of the night. Then you also had the segment with Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Eric Rowan, and Ryback, which came off really good. And Dean Ambrose had a good promo. I could have done without Curtis Axel on that, but still, that was good. Setting up a potential Barrett feud for the IC belt. Definitely looking forward to that. Should they do that? Which I think they will at Fastlane. So, as of now, Fastlane I think looks like this. I mean, well, we already know it's going to be Daniel Bryan against Roman Reigns for the right to face Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. John Cena versus Rusev for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Still scratching my head over that. And then. You got those 2 matches penciled. Well, you also have Paige and Nikki Bella for the Divas belt. So, I mean, it's definitely looking like a solid show here. I mean, you would think, we went on the record saying that, we don't really care about Fastlane. It's going to be a meh pay-per-view. It's just a filler pay-per-view before WrestleMania 31. But, no, I mean, we got some solid matchups here. Well, well, it's still Rusev and Cena, Nikki Bella and Paige, and now Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan. Those are the only 3 matches locked in. As far as other matches that could be added to the card, I fully expect the Usos to go up against Cesaro and Tyson Kidd for the tag belts. I also fully expect Dean Ambrose to face Bad News Barrett for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, and whatever else they decide to do. So, as far as my overall rating goes, it's a little bit tough. I gotta really think about this one, considering the body of work. It's not a perfect 10 by any means, no way. But I'm going to give this between 7.5 to 8 out of 10 because I thought this was a very good show tonight. The in-ring action, with the exception of those 2 dud matches, I thought the in-ring action came off really good tonight. I mean, we had about 5 or 6 quality matches tonight. Unfortunately, we had a couple of duds. That's why the rating gets knocked down a bit. You take out those dud matches, then it would have been flirting with 10 status, no doubt. But that's why I got to knock it. I'm actually going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. I think 8 out of 10 is the best rating for this show tonight. Because, like I said, 5 or 6 quality matches. You got a couple of very good in-ring segments with the opening segment as well as the Cena segment with Rowan, Ryback, and Ziggler. And Dean Ambrose had a good promo segment there. And so, yeah, solid 8 out of 10. I don't know if I can go higher than that, to be honest with you. But another very good Monday Night Raw. I mean, for a while we were getting some piss poor shows, but these last few shows have actually all been really good. They really have. I mean, even that show from last week, even that show from the headquarters last week, I thought that came off really good too, especially because of those interviews. Those sit-down interviews were a big hit last week. So we'll have to wait and see how they decide to do that going forward. But 8 out of 10 for me. Very good show. Great in-ring work. I mean, great matches tonight, and definitely a couple of good segments as well. So with that said, Michael Bullock, do you agree with me on this rating, or do you have it a little higher, a little lower? What?
Yeah, I agree with you on the rating. What was it again? I couldn't quite hear.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 is the correct rating for it. So yeah, you had those solid matches with Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt and Dolph Ziggler. That opening segment with the Authority, with that announcement, and of course the surprise matches with Sin Cara and the Miz and of course Jimmy Uso and Cesaro, and yeah, those 2 other matches those 2 duds were really what killed it. So, yeah, there's really nothing else for me to say except 8 out of 10. So there's really nothing else for me to say except let's put a bow on this show.
Yes, we're going to put the bow on this show indeed. That's going to do it for this edition of the Wrestling Forum. We thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight. Of course, future content that I'm going to get into in just a moment. So, of course, I don't know, Didi Woodson, I don't know if you wanted to share your overall thoughts on this show tonight, if you just want to give a quick rating or if you just want us to wrap up, whatever's good for you.
I'd agree with about the 8, yeah.
8 out of 10 good for you too? Okay, sounds good. So with that said, now that officially does it. So with that said, we're going to get into our shout-outs as always, as is customary with our shows. We're going to do our shout-outs now. And, Michael Bullock, we're going to start it off with you. Your shout-outs, and then I'll set the table for future content. So Michael Bullock, your shout-outs now.
All right, of course. We want to thank you all so very much for joining us here for another edition of the Wrestling Forum on this very chilly and snowy Monday night here in East Providence. Even though the snow has stopped, but we got a lot of snow here outside. So yeah, so shout out to all of our fans who support our shows, whether it's this or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. We really appreciate it, of course. Of course, we want to thank our superfan Didi Woodson for joining us again here for the Wrestling Forum. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Even if you give us just a little opinion, hey, it's all good. It's all good. So, And of course, also shout out to, of course, your husband, Kevin Woodson, and of course, to our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonbaugh. And of course, shout out to all of our friends from our high school days, of course, Al Bretterson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza, and of course, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaisa Butler, of course, to Michael Fletcher. Of course, he probably was having his connection problems. That's why he only joined us for a little bit, but then it pretty much killed it and wasn't able to join us the rest of the way. And of course, shout out to the Grand Poobah himself, Derek Ferreira. Couldn't be with us because he's got a doctor's appointment in the morning, so I know he'll rejoin us Friday night on Strictly Sports. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me. I'll save the rest of my shout-outs for Friday night for Strictly Sports. So until then, this is the Phenom and the Vice President of the Rhode Island Chapter of the Yes Movement, Mike Bullock, saying thank you all so much for listening to us here tonight. And of course, you all know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw to Fortune 4 style. Have a great rest of the week everyone. And until Friday night for Strictly Sports, bye for now, my friends. So with that being said, Florio, take us home and set up the future content.
Will do indeed, Michael Bullock. Of course, I want to thank you all so very much for tuning into this show tonight. Of course, special shout-outs to all of our tremendous fans out there who continue to make the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports as ridiculously over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. Of course, special shout-out to Dee Dee Woodson and family, of course, the first family of the Wrestling Forum and Strictly Sports. Of course, our other super fans, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Mr. Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Of course, Michael Fletcher, unfortunately, we lost him tonight. Obviously, some connection issues kept our Cerebral Viper out of it tonight. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go Friday night on Strictly Sports. And, of course, another special shout-out to our Imperial Grand Poobah himself, the Hardcore Pipe Bomb, Derek Ferreira. Shame he couldn't be with us tonight, as he does indeed have a doctor's appointment early tomorrow morning, so that's why he couldn't be with us tonight. But my guess is he'll be back at the controls on Friday night on Strictly Sports, which I'm going to set the table for right now because he posted it on our Strictly Sports Facebook page tonight. Friday night, of course, 10:30, another all-new edition of Strictly Sports, and the doc goes as follows. We will recap the NFL Honors Show. We'll share our thoughts on the winners of all the winners from the NFL Honors this past Saturday night. Of course, we'll also share our thoughts on the class of 2015 announced for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm going to definitely wax poetic on two of the inductees, as there are two inductees that made it this year that should have been in a long time ago, but are finally getting their moment in the sun, and it's about damn time for those two. And then, of course, don't know why we're getting into this, but apparently he wants to get into it. The Super Bowl commercials. What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? Even though, honestly, there was one I kind of got into. Of course, the big news today, Johnny Manziel, or as we like to call him, Johnny Overhype. He entered rehab today. We'll share our thoughts on that. And then in the main event, our newest NHL Power Rankings. We were supposed to do it last week, but at the last second, Derek pushed against it. I put the kibosh on it because we wanted to focus entirely on the Super Bowl, and rightfully so. So NHL Power Rankings will be back on Friday night, and of course it was just coming off of the All-Star break as well, so we really couldn't get into that. So NFL Honors recap, Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2015, favorite Super Bowl commercial, Johnny Overhype going into rehab, and the NHL Power Rankings. That and maybe some more this Friday night on Strictly Sports, 10:30 on YouTube, on Derek Ferreira's channel, SLB 2008-09. And then, of course, next Monday night, of course, another all-new edition of the Wrestling Forum. So, as we'll recap Monday Night Raw, which will be live next Monday night from the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio, Dee Dee Woodson. So, take note of that. So I know you're probably up the road from there, so probably going to be at that house, I'm sure. So,
closer to Cleveland than Columbus.
Oh, okay. but still, it's definitely some excitement for your state. I mean, of course, it's been a lot of excitement over these last few weeks with Ohio
Hey,
State.
we have a house show in Canton.
Oh, nice. Okay. Canton indeed. Of course, also home to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which we'll get into Friday night. So, yeah, I mean, big things coming up there. I mean, you already had some big moments this year. I mean, with Ohio State winning the college football playoff title, of course, recently the NHL All-Star Game, which was a big success with the skills competition and the game itself. And now Monday Night Raw coming next Monday to Columbus in the Nationwide Arena. So that's
And then,
definitely going to be.
and of course, Johnny Manziel's with the Browns.
Yeah. You know,
Mr. Johnny, I don't know how to play football.
Yeah, we're right there with you. We echo your sentiments. There's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, we do have to get into that on Friday night because it's all about that journalistic responsibility, which we take very seriously. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Wrestling Forum. So until Friday night for Strictly Sports, this is Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio for D.D. Woodson and our phenom Michael Bullock, and of course in spirit the Cerebral Viper Michael Fletcher and our Hardcore Python Derek Ferreira, saying you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And until Friday night for Strictly Sports on Derek's channel, SLV 2008-09, you've been watching the Wrestling Forum right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless, and be good to each other.